Thought I might see you today.
They let me across the bridge finally.
Well, the surface is getting better.
Sorry?
The surface is getting better.
Yeah, the swing bridge portion has been replaced.
It's what?
The swing bridge, the grid is new.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hard to tell what else they've been working on, but
Well, they've got a lot of the walkway.
yeah, it's the
It's
far
not-
end is
It's not done, but
not done, but starting to take shape.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
And they're really going to town on the roundabouts this
yeah.
morning. Yeah,
Which is both annoying and hopeful.
yeah. We'll see.
Well, I have to say that places they've installed them have improved
Yeah.
traffic flow.
People are going to have to learn how to use them, though. That's.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But you know, since they did that one over in Haddam Neck and
Yeah. Oh, the Four Corners.
The Four Corners
Yeah.
in Glastonbury. You know, they're around now, and people are. It's not. You never run into them.
Right. Right.
So there's hope.
Yep.
How are you?
Creaky.
Creaky. Okay. Well, Jeff is not going to be with us today.
Oh, okay.
He got a last-minute viewing on his house,
Oh, wow.
and they currently lowered the price a bit and have started getting more interest, and they're really anxious to sell. So can't blame him for that.
Yeah. No. Priorities.
Indeed. I don't even know what time it is. Oh, it's time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am recording, amazingly enough. I'm always amazed when I remember. Good. So you get a private lesson today.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Oh.
What questions do you have?
No, not really. I've been working on slower
Mm-hmm.
and trying to feel the lengthening as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Good.
and the shoulder spine, which I think is coming along, but the shoulders in particular have been so tight for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel looser back there.
Mm-hmm. Good. Do you get massage?
No, I haven't done massage, acupressure, puncture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel them knotted the way they have been with stress, They get part of the creakiness I mentioned was, working outside in the spring for the
Yeah.
first time until my old body gets used to used to the rigors of outside work. So, and then yesterday it was rainy, so we had an excursion up to the attic, which is
Ooh, you were brave.
Going up the ladder and lifting heavy crates around. So I feel it this morning in here, but that'll go away in a day. But I could use a massage probably.
Without doubt.
I'm sorry?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you were aware, but I was a massage therapist, and I worked at the massage school, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay. I knew about Jane, but I didn't know about you.
Yeah,
Huh.
Yeah, I graduated there. I was head of student services for a while, and then I started and ran their bookstore and had a pretty active practice up in around Hartford. But when I moved down here, I found it very hard to find clients, which pushed me into Tai Chi, which I think was a good thing.
Yeah.
But I am still getting massage. I go once every 3 weeks, and it makes a huge difference. So I encourage it.
I had been getting not a massage, but massage was involved in the craniosacral person I was seeing, and she went off to Florida, so I haven't gotten in touch. There was somebody who worked in her office in Portland, where she had her practice, that also does the same sort of thing. And I will probably look him up. And
there's also a really excellent craniosacral myofascial person who was in Colchester, but they closed that office, and Jane has the address.
Okay.
Her name is Kirsty. Kirsty. I don't remember her last name.
Okay.
But she is really good.
Okay.
Extremely good. There was another woman. The woman, I didn't actually see Kirsty, but Jane did. I saw the other woman in that office at one point, and she was very good. She helped me a lot with those practices. Unfortunately, she's been moved way north, so she's not going to be available. But well, I'll get the information from Jane and give it to you, because every report I have heard from anybody about Kirsty has been just absolute top notch, and Jane is very aware, so I trust her judgment. And actually, the woman I was seeing told me Kirsty happened to be not in around at the time that I was seeing her, but she was recovering from an injury of some sort. But she said, that she was just really fine. So it's hard to find somebody who's really good with that work. So anyway.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Blah blah blah.
I'm going to turn my hearing aids up.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes when I'm tired, I don't hear as well.
Aha. And maybe I'm speaking quietly.
Well, you know, that's, you know, but my hearing is so bad that I never blame anybody, you know.
Isn't very good.
And most people, I mean, my wife has been enduring a bad sciatica thing.
Yeah.
And my daughter just came down with the same thing and has been in bed for 3 days. So they're communicating with each other, but it's the same with hearing and other things. It's impossible to tell somebody what it's like and have them understand. They say, "Oh yes, I'm sorry," but they really don't.
And bad sciatica is really awful.
Yeah, I've had it.
So have I.
I had a bulging disc at lumbar 4 or 5, and I lost a couple months of work. I couldn't get out of a chair basically, and they were going to operate, and then it got better 2 weeks before the operation.
Mind over matter.
So I'm always wary about my back.
Yeah.
And
Well, and gosh, with a bulging disc, that's not good.
yeah.
So that's interesting. That probably means that disc got some improvement by your sitting down and not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was spontaneous. I mean, medication didn't help much.
Yeah.
I was beyond PT, yeah. So, and it was, as I say, I was just waiting for the operation to show up and frankly dreading it, you know.
Yeah.
And it just started to get better.
Well, you know, very often sciatica comes from enlarged piriformis, actually, muscle, through which that nerve runs through often. And that can be relieved by massage, which I actually, that's what helped me. But boy, okay.
Yeah, well, my wife is in the still the early stages, and I keep saying you have to be more forceful when you go, because she minimizes pain and suffering. But if she's telling me it's a 9 or a 10, I figure, I mean, she never mentions pain anyway, and for her to say that it's a 9 at times when it means that she's really in pain. So she has an MRI scheduled later this week. They've done the X-ray.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
well, I hope they can help her.
Yeah. So maybe massage for her too.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. She's doing acupuncture.
Well, that
which
can help.
It helps. It's not a cure,
No.
but it helps. Yeah.
It can help control the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something is pressuring the nerve, so you've got to relieve that pressure some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, have you been working? And this is something we had done in your God's class, is working on lengthening out the yang and in the yin.
Yeah. I it's not my main focus, but I have, especially when I'm standing before doing anything, and I'm concentrating on lengthening, and then that gets involved too.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
frankly, most of that gets lost in the middle of the form, but
very
I'm
hard.
able to maintain attention through the Qigong.
Yeah. Well, it's very hard to maintain it initially, certainly in the form, for anyone.
Yep.
Except maybe Bruce. Uh, when it gets to be, pretty automatic, then it gets much easier.
Yep.
But when you have to think it through, it's very difficult.
Actually, it makes sense, but the larger movements in the form are easier to track that way. Or the single whip, but the opening, grasping still, still there are. It's such a complex of movements right away.
Yes, right away.
Yep. And I'm still working on trying to get that right. So the lengthening, when I get to on, then I seem to be able to think about it more with extending and opening the shoulders, but the Peng Ji, not so much. Yeah.
Well, that's why we focus on the Qigong first.
Yeah.
A lot easier, really, to do that. Do you feel like you're able to feel the lengthening happening?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. Not all the time, but yes. As with other aspects of the practices, when it's something new like lengthening, I don't have a yardstick, to measure against, but it does feel like the joints are opening, and I sense the whole body getting longer somehow.
Good.
Somehow.
Yeah. No. Okay. Good.
So it's that is more distinct than lengthening in. Although I do sense the lengthening in at times. That's easier to spot in gods.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Well, and that, again, that makes sense because you're not rapidly changing,
right.
Having to go from one to the other.
movements.
Yeah. You've got time to really allow that to happen.
Yeah.
When you get to Peng and you have to do Ji, and it's boom, boom, that's a little difficult.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're able to do bending and stretching and twisting without having to think about it too much?
on my good days.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe what a good day is, but when I'm in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to whatever my mind, it's a standing meditation, so it's the same deal. I mean, if I am sometimes not even aware of what's going on in my brain, but I am aware that something is,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the times when I'm totally present with my body.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when the twisting, bending
Yep.
happens with some, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there are enough moments when everything seems to be in sync, that I have a sense of what it should be like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not consistent.
Yeah.
So
You need more time in your life.
yeah,
We all do.
yeah. Fewer weeds to pull, crates to move around the attic.
Yeah, right. How did you go to the attic alone, or your wife went with you?
She can't go.
I was going to say
yeah,
she couldn't do that.
yeah.
Oh.
She did. We have to access it by a step ladder, so she went up 2 steps and got her eyes over the
Yeah.
floor so that she could. I'd show her the box, and she'd say, "No, that's not it." You know, so we were looking for summer clothes,
Oh.
and after 2 trips to the attic, she discovered them in the front bedroom.
Oh, jeez.
And so she's been apologizing ever since. Anyway.
Hey, happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Well, let's move.
Okay.
So I'm feeling like I'd really like you to move on your own,
Okay.
so I can really observe you,
Okay.
and see if I can see ways that I might help you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I should.
Where do you want me?
Well, I'm going to come back here so
Okay.
I give you the full space. You can do it this way.
I don't know which would be best for Jeff.
Well, or for you, because
Or for me,
you can
yeah.
see.
Yeah.
If you can see yourself,
Yeah.
then. So maybe
I-
you'd like to be here facing the camera,
Okay.
because I can. On second thought,
Okay.
I'll change what I said and come over here. how did you feel about that flow?
Decent. A little tighter at places than I wanted, especially this one always.
Yeah.
This is too involved. It hasn't dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. It was particularly apparent here because instead of being here,
I
You
had
were
my
here.
wings up, yeah.
your wings, yes, you, I didn't have the sense you were about to fly, but. the, I would say bending and stretching is very consistent.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think it seemed to me, rather than awareness of lengthening, particularly along the yin and yang surfaces, that the focus really was on the bending and stretching.
Stretching this time, yeah.
Which is good. That's great that you have that. And the twisting, not as consistent, but certainly you've done considerable work on that. So those things are coming along reasonably well. The one of the main problems, I think, for you, basically in the movement, is that because I think your awareness is more on the bending and stretching, there is a collapsing of the elbows rather than a circling and pushing of the elbows. Can you see the difference
Yes.
there?
Yeah.
And it seemed to me that was true through most of it.
Yeah.
So, and it seemed like you wanted to do too much. Think about how you can let the movements be a little bit smaller. In this one, it doesn't have to be big. As a matter of fact, none of them have to be big. It's easier at first to find that movement, but notice the circularity. And one of the things that's really important is keeping that connection between the elbow and the scapula constant.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you do this, I just lost it.
Yeah.
That was all it took.
Yeah.
It's gone. So that's a really important piece.
Yeah, and I can feel that. I mean, my scapula are working now, and
yeah, good.
Not there. So.
So I think that's really important piece to work on. The other thing I would say is you've been working on C-curve for a long time in God's. I'm not really seeing it happening here. And I know it's important for you to be cautious with that.
Oh, yeah.
I completely understand that. On the other hand, the difference between doing this and doing this with the back, it can be huge. So it felt like your neck was pretty frozen.
Okay.
I did not really feel that the neck extended and went forward really at all noticeably. And it doesn't have to be much.
Yeah. No, I did feel stiff.
Yeah.
And admittedly, it was a ways into the practice when I remembered the C curve.
Aha.
Um,
That's why I saw saw some indication of it later. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see the pelvis moving.
Mm,
I did not feel that I really saw the cervical much.
yeah.
I think that's more than enough to think
Okay.
about.
Yes.
In there.
Well, I mean, this I know that's important, and
It's
yeah.
it's really well, it's really just practice.
Mm,
It's not flowing. It's saying maybe one posture a day. Take 8 days or 8 practices,
mm,
um, and just look at one a day.
one a day. That's,
You know, take
yeah.
because even if you only spend, you know, 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and find out how do I maintain that connection and find that roundness, um, and I don't know that rather than trying to do all of them at one time, because um, then we fall into just flowing through it.
Yeah.
And flowing is good. That's important to learn to flow, but that's
No, I think that's a good suggestion
Yeah.
for me. I have never done that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it,
But that's part of the take it apart piece by piece.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it also is, it's important to think about your practice that way, that there's, that you're going to spend, even when you only spend a little bit of time, 2 or 3 minutes even, or 5 minutes, focusing on some particular element before you flow. All of a sudden you start connecting pieces. But
Yeah, that
So-
maybe that's a New Year's resolution. Because I don't do short stints.
yeah.
I'm capable of standing in a grocery store line
Uh-huh.
and weight shifting and maybe
Yeah.
moving my head around, but
Uh-huh.
at home when I say I want to do Tai Chi, then it's usually a half an hour or whatever,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's what gets in the way.
Yeah.
I may not think I have a half hour. Obviously, I always have a half an hour. I could not do something else. But, if I could bring myself to work at it 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there,
Sometimes, yeah, because when it's working on a specific principle or element that you're trying to make connection with, sometimes just having 5 or 10 minutes to work on it is great.
Yeah.
And not feeling you have to do more.
Yeah.
A little bit of really good focused practice is better than certainly not practicing.
Yeah.
And it's better than 2 hours of mindless practice.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway,
if I find myself mindless, I stop.
yeah. Yeah, well, we all have those days. So, I was going to say, why don't we just look at grasping sparrow's tail, since
Okay.
that, um,
It's still
it's, it is
the
not,
number one.
it is not easy. We know all the principles,
Yeah.
but how do you do that? And I think that you mentioned that you're really have been working on slowing down your practice, and that's, I think, a key. Um, what time is it? What time is it?
Oh, 10:40.
Oh, okay, good.
My watch went off with it
Oh.
vibrates when there are text messages.
Oh,
I tried to sneak.
that's why
quick
I
look.
don't ever wear a watch.
Yeah, well, I turn that thing off when I come in, but this I can't turn.
You know, I have no idea. 25 or 30 years ago, I took off my watch, and I have never put it back on.
I rarely look at it for time. I wear it for an alarm clock. It's the only thing that will wake me up.
Really?
Because when I take my hearing aids out, there's no alarm clock loud enough that I can't sleep through. Often I do wake up, but it's hit or miss.
Yeah,
So this vibrates.
that's a good
Yeah.
reason.
And I use it to measure my steps,
Yeah.
per day. Yeah, it's
Oh,
very
I
accurate
do that with
on
my
that.
phone.
So
I wear my phone, so
ah,
see, that allows me to
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Okay, so um, one of the things I noticed, and I thought this is I'd, when you were beginning the Qigong, but it's also true in the form, and that is that you want to use the body to move the leg out. So you had the first part of the movement fine, but then your leg just went.
Okay.
So there needs to be a rotation into that first leg, and then the beginning of the rotation moves the foot. So with the form, that's not too hard. It's in a way, it's easier in the form than it is when you're going into the Qigong, because in the Qigong, you're only moving to shoulders width, but the principles are all the same. So, indeed, so as we begin the form, we're going down into that right foot, and then as we begin to rotate left, that moves the left, and then we continue going up and out. So one of the things that can help, I think, is to recognize the in and out there. So here, as you begin to step, that first part is still obviously in. But as you go up and out, notice that my arms are rotating out. They don't go all the way to here. They simply go very small, just a little rotation. And then they come in, and now here what happens is that the this is a mind blink in a way. You've gone to here, that's the little finger edge out. And then you have the thumb edge in and the thumb edge out.
haven't been getting the thumb edge out. I've been getting the
Yeah.
first part of it.
Well, because you have such a short time there, because once you get to here, depending on how fast you're moving, you don't have much time. You've got to just go in and out.
And let me see what the elbows are doing.
Okay, so you get to here, and then you have the elbows in and the elbows out.
Yeah.
And I think I'm misleading you there because that's still the little finger edge. I don't know why I said thumb edge. Don't believe me. So this is little finger out, little finger in, little finger out. And that movement is exactly the same, actually, as it's very much the same. You're obviously coming from slightly different positions. That you're here, in, out, and the critical part there, which is another part of the subtlety of that movement, is that as you go to pung, you have gone to here, and then you do that to G. So the body is still rotating all the way to G.
Yeah. You may have said that before.
I have. I'm sure I have. So you get all the way forward, but you continue rotating into G. And then in Lu, you again are coming in, and then in a little further, and then out to on. So you're going out, in, out, in, out. So there's no out in Lu here.
Yeah, well, it seems my physical memory says that I have been going out rather than in.
Well, the beginning of Lu is out. You're absolutely right.
But you know, this next I've been. I don't know how I.
If we think about the Yang style, we have out. Well, one David, out, in. Either one. The other one goes out, in. So that out in Lu happens in the Yang style, and it still actually happens here, but our emphasis is the Lu here. So we have out, in, out, out, in, out. Is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand.
Try it.
I have also been trying to straighten up rather than.
Yeah.
And I just
too.
found myself, over here like this, and I'm saying I need to be.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah, but it's whatever. I mean, I can feel myself doing it, And it's the, the going slow that has finally driven the point home.
And you know what that
Because
does? What that does to you? That's what drives you back in on.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because that's the thing. When we get to on, that has to be continually out. So you had a little shift back. You had a tiny shift back. You don't want to shift back. So you have to be careful. When you go into Lu, you have to be sure you don't go too far forward because that'll bring you right back.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I do. I mean,
Yeah. So one of the things to think about is when you go into a one-legged stance, you want to sink the energy through your heel, through Ximian.
Okay.
You want to drop the energy into the earth. So when you go forward, you're sitting on your heel, and then you can stay there.
Okay. Yeah. Like, yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's a big change. Because I haven't been anchored back
Yeah.
here.
And that's
I have been 50-50 at best, yeah.
no, because we're constantly going into that. I mean, after we've done on. Um,
Yeah, and apparently I've been substituting leaning forward for turning.
That's a good awareness.
I mean, the turn, it hasn't been this, it's been
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Details.
Might have something to work on. Well, the weight on the rear foot, at least, until the step, is a massive change.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
because if I really am anchored, I'm not going to be able to go like that without feeling like a fool.
Well, you'll be aware of it.
Yeah,
more. Yeah. Good. So just try it. See what happens. So use your body to move the left leg.
I keep wanting to.
That was better. Still a little shift back, but
Yeah.
But
after all that talk about anchoring, that's the one thing that I wasn't paying attention to.
And that's also in your first movement when you're going to step out. If you get fully, yeah. Son of a gun. That all came together there all of a sudden. That was great.
That's so stupidly simple, you know.
It
I mean, really, you know.
is all simple, but it ain't easy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I
don't
feel,
beat
you know,
yourself.
you feel
Don't
so
beat yourself up.
ridiculous about, you know, something that basic, but, you know, there it is. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, see, that's where it happens, right there.
Yeah,
Because
and
I was already here.
yeah, and you were leading with your chest instead of the dantian. So that was better.
Better, yeah.
It's it's finding precisely how to shift onto that left foot before you move the right. Because what happens is if you aren't fully on the left, solidly anchored, then you push off from the right.
Okay.
And that's part of that. That was better. That was definitely better.
I can feel it.
Yeah. It's going to take some work,
Yeah.
but
Well, whether it was last week, it doesn't make any difference when it was. I've been conscious not in this movement, but in portions of the rest of the form about weight shift and, you know, having gone through and paused and, you know, assessed where where things were, I was confused about where the weight was supposed to be, you know, and not here, but this was a prime example of that.
yeah, yeah. I, I'm, you know, personally, part of it is my age at this point, but that's not an excuse. When we do the kick with the left heel and then step forward to the side to single whip, when I get my weight solidly into the heel, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But if I don't, I fall off.
Yeah, I would say, what, 70% of the time probably I do that one appropriately, and the other 30% I have to start the movement over again because I've fallen.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's, and I do think Jeff has a slight advantage because of age, but he has that pretty well down.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he feels more stable.
yeah.
You know, from here on down
Yep.
than I do. Yeah, and that for me, that's part of what I'm learning about myself these years. Yeah. I've never had to worry so much about my legs or knees, but now I do. I have to watch where I'm stepping, walking.
Yes, we do.
I mean, even walking down the 4 steps to get off the front porch in the morning, I mean, okay. Do it right, don't be, you know.
Absolutely. I hold on to a railing now all the time.
Yeah.
Or something. I'm like take a chance.
Yeah.
Falling down and breaking your pelvis
Yeah.
is just not worth it.
No.
I think that's enough for you to work on.
Yes, that's plenty. No, and thank you. I mean, this, in the sparrow's tail, this leg being anchored, and then that's all.
Anchoring that one.
And anchoring that one. And this prevents me from going that way.
Yeah. It's all part of the whole principle in Tai Chi that you move with your weight back. You don't walk.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do walk all the time, and I'm perfectly aware of it then.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to get very far off at all before I say, okay, let's not be walking down the road this way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure. I hope you have a good day, and you remember no class tomorrow.
Right, no class tomorrow. I'll mow the lawn instead.
Oh, well, that's good. I'll go see my macular degeneration doctor. Too many doctors.
Yeah.
Although one of my doctors released me about a month ago.
Well, that's good.
My cancer doctor had been following something in my lungs for years.
Yeah.
And he finally decided it's just nothing's gonna happen.
Oh, good.
So
That's good.
yeah.